right, I'm joined by Christian Easterday, CEO of Hot Chili. Christian, thanks for being with me.
Yeah, no, great to be here.
Now, let's start with Verde, okay? Everyone's talking about Verde. It's your latest resource acquisition. It's had some very promising drill results so far. Now, from a high level, how does it stack up to your current resources at Costa Fuego?
Yeah, look, we have 1 billion tons at Costa Fuego already. Most of that is in the indicated basket, as you know. So Verde, to come at this time on the eve of our pre-feasibility for Costa Fuego coming out, is certainly very, very encouraging. But it was a long run-up to secure the asset, get our hands on it.
Sounds like it.
We started drilling in October. First results came out just before Christmas. And then about 2 weeks ago, we really underpinned our confirmation of that major discovery. Another 10 holes, most of them finishing in mineralization. So it's a big porphyry greenfields discovery for Hot Chili that's looking very promising to add a third major deposit to Costa Fuego, our 1 billion tons to the north.
Excellent. Now, I want to expand on that. What's the plan for Costa Fuego this year, would you say? Because I know it's still early days.
Yeah, and look, it's just one step in front of ourselves at the moment. So we are 4 to 5 weeks out at the moment from delivering our pre-feasibility on a project that is very large, very meaningful for the industry, for the copper sector. It's around 100,000 tons per annum of copper, 50,000 ounces of gold. So it's a very, very meaningful sized project that's near term. And I guess what we have in front of that is our final journey towards a financing decision. It's the completion of a bankable study. So right now, to have the Verde discovery adding in that growth, how does 1 billion tons become 2 billion tons? How does Costa Fuego maybe scale up? All of that is probably going to be answered by the outcome of the drilling in Verde.
Okay. So Verde looks like it's going to be really meaningful. Just for people who don't know how the steps work, when will that start showing up in the numbers? When will it show up in these studies that you're talking about doing? What's the typical process look like?
Yeah, sure. Look, Verde is a porphyry deposit, so it's bulk tonnage, which means that the tonnage and the resource growth, it happens very rapidly. You step out with 100 meter and 200 meter confirmation holes, and you're literally adding 20, 30 million tons with each step out hole. So the size of this thing is showing greater promise than Portadera,
wow,
which gave us 700 million tons.
Right, okay.
So we're very excited about it at the moment, but to answer your question, we've got a lot of drilling to do. And I guess we're going to be focusing on the open pit component of this discovery, so we can send that to the north, push out our mine life from 20 towards 30 years, potentially look at a scale up on the project, but it has got size. We're talking about a discovery that within the last 2 weeks has almost doubled in strike length with our extensional holes. And so this is adding significant material growth to the company very, very quickly. And the next steps are all about the drilling and then achieving a maiden resource and seeing that resource grow and be integrated into our Costa Fuego project over the next 12 to 18 months.
I was looking for some updates on the water assets. What's going on there? What would you like to accomplish this year with those assets? Because that's another exciting component that's pretty unique.
Yeah, that's right. It's a value in the stock that has not been surfaced.
Right.
It's a deeply strategic asset that we have, that we've developed. We find ourselves in the Atacama. You're not allowed to take water out of the ground. We're in a region that is hosting 20% of new global copper supply in undeveloped projects, with Hot Chili having the only granted maritime concession in that region. So it's significant, the opportunity. But the opportunity doesn't start to translate to value to our shareholders until we can demonstrate that value. This year we're looking to expand our discussions with major water partners that build and finance and operate these type of large water opportunities and water projects. And we're also talking to all of the undeveloped projects around us, the owners of those, the BHPs, the Lundins, the Newmonts, the Tex, the Antofagastas, the Atex Minerals of the world. So we're combining really our studies on the water, so we understand the economics of the water project to supply ourselves with seawater, but then later to potentially supply the entire region with fresh desalinated water for major industrial projects, for agriculture, and more importantly for the communities in which we operate. So this is very much about tying our water assets into our social license to operate, but most importantly and uniquely, having an asset that we can potentially monetize by outsourcing and selling our interest in that project. It reduces the capital required to build our project by several hundred millions of dollars. And it allows us to potentially bring financing to the table that means we don't have to dilute our shareholders to build a $1 billion plus copper project. We can sell our major water assets down to interested large investors in the water space.
So it kind of lets you double dip because you're saving on costs and then it also can help with the financing.
It is. And I think in the last interview we talked about that fantastic Antofagasta transaction, which really gave a pointer to what you could do in this situation. And you know, they were able to sell their assets for Centinela, a saltwater project to the north, for $600 million, and that saved them $400 million. So that's the way that we're thinking about it at the moment.
Big numbers.
However, nothing's off the table at the moment for Hot Chili. It's a business development opportunity for the company. We're treating it as such. We have a pre-feasibility coming out alongside the copper pre-feasibility on the water, and so we're looking forward to getting those numbers into the market.
Do you have any expectation when the water feasibility study would come out, or when you'd like it to come out?
Yeah, look, they're meant to be coming out in parallel. We may well separate the announcements so that they don't confuse each other, even though they are intimately related. But certainly at the end of this quarter, that's where all of these two major catalysts are set to collide for us. And it's just fantastic to have that growth engine finally turn back on for Hot Chili. And I mean, to think that you're adding on that kind of growth on a $1 billion-ton project that is going to make this project, Costa Fuego on the coastline, that much more meaningful for the industry.
Excellent. Yeah, the industry needs more copper. We can see that in the price. So
yeah.
Good. So you've touched on some of the catalysts coming. Maybe you could just give us a whole wrap up of what 2025 looks like for Hot Chili as people are tracking your discoveries and what you're working on.
Yeah, and look, for those that are really focused on Costa Fuego and the timeline to get that to a financing decision, we are not pulling back on that. That is about delivering on this timeline to put Costa Fuego into the market, producing at the end of the decade. So we'll very much be transitioning towards the bankable study once we complete the pre-feasibility and deliver that to the market in the next 4 to 5 weeks. The water project is being done in parallel. So all of that development news flow will continue, and the company won't stop its acceleration to bring these projects into production. But now, I guess a very big difference that we can talk about is we've waited 2.5 to 3 years to have really growth turned on again since the last major addition with Cortadera being added. So that's going to add a lot more news flow, which is probably more suited to the market conditions at the moment, and more what the investor and the marginal buyer is probably interested to find out how Costa Fuego can take a step from just underneath the tier 1 bracket and move into that tier 1 space.
Right.
That's where every door opens to this project and how it's going to be developed for the company. So it's very, very exciting for the company to be displaying that kind of growth now.
So it seems like Verde is bringing a little bit of spice to Hot Chili.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. It's been a while, so no,
I couldn't help myself.
Our team is really loving what they're seeing. I'm really reinvigorated getting up every morning to a drill report and seeing where our drill holes are on which extensional line, and it's at that really sweet spot in the discovery where every drill hole is extending it, and we haven't actually completed a closeout drill hole yet, and we actually haven't started diamond drilling and testing this at depth. So a lot to like in terms of the news flow from Hot Chili on that growth news flow, but then on those steady, systematic steps in our process to bring this project through to a producing asset towards the end of the decade. And no, it's great to be supported by the markets.
So you heard it here first. This is Christian Easterday of Hot Chili, and we're reporting from the Grizzle Creek PDAC party. Thanks, Christian.
Thank you.